From the studios of TvGrace International, here are the ineffable words of God. The gospel of grace on the lips of the man Christ Jesus. Abba, Father.
Well, I really wanted to share it with you. To be able to do the work that I do, take you to what is written, and talk to you about a topic, which is called the justice and the doctrine of God. The justice and the doctrine of God. So let's start with the verse. The verse of Romans chapter 3. Romans 3, verse 21, the 21st verse. The verse says, but now, apart from what? In other words, people think that in order to be saved, you have to fulfill God's law, don't they? I mean, before the cross, if you broke one commandment, you became guilty of all the commandments. If there was one faithful Jew here, a Jew would be offended by what I'm about to say, because the Jew lives by the law. And if there was an Adventist, he would say that can't be. Apart from the law, because it is talking there about the law of God, the law of Moses. But then it says, what it is trying to tell you is that Paul sets aside the entire Old Testament. Everything what the Christians today believe, Paul is setting aside. You know that if you go to a church, the church is going to tell you, you have to live by God's law. Well, Paul says you don't. Look at what it says. But now, apart from the law, you have to throw the law aside. The righteousness of God apart from the law is revealed, being witnessed by the law itself. In other words, the law of Moses said that something better was coming. Hey, that's wonderful. It says witnessed by the law and the prophets. God's justice by means of what? Through faith in Jesus Christ. It means that if you believe in Jesus Christ, you don't have to practice the law, because this righteousness has nothing to do with the law that He Himself imposed on Moses. Take a look at what it says later on in chapter 4, specifically verse 6. Romans 4:6. Just as David also describes the blessedness of the man to whom God imputes what? Righteousness apart from what? Hey, but how easy this is. Someone will say, so this church in Puerto Rico, they say it's something easy. So this church is without works? Well, if you want to be right with God. Now, if you want to add works to it, a work that you do thinking that you will please God, God rejects you. You cannot bring works here, neither good nor bad. If you do a good deed, good for you, that's fine. If you make a bad one, bad for you. But here we do not live by works. That is why we live at rest. Do you know what it's like to serve God in fear? Oh, Father, am I right with God? Is God watching over me? I did not pray the rosary this morning. I did not read the Bible. I did not kneel. I did not pray. I did not make the sign of the cross on time. I did not go to Mass on Sunday. I did a bad deed. Meanwhile, God says, God imputes righteousness to you without works. Hey. These glasses are not sunglasses. They are prescription. I wear them a lot because you make me cry too much. So with these glasses, I can hide my tears. Oh yes, I go to places where I hear so many testimonies, they make me cry. It's hard not to cry, isn't it? This ministry enriches people so much. Not me, the ministry. What happens is that they say it's me because it's through me. But I know I had nothing to do with it. I also benefit of the man Christ Jesus. Me, I benefit from the one who lives in me because I also have to be submitted to Him, listening to Him. I hear myself in order to be able to submit myself. Imagine that. But this is done by the one who submits. The one who submits. It appears that I'm now taking recognition by saying, the one who submits to me. To what I say, I make him happy. But not me, not me. That's what Paul said, right? Not I, the grace of God in me. It seems that I am boasting, but I am not boasting about anything. If I'm good for nothing, I'm a piece of flesh just like you. We are in the same boat. The only thing is that it was my turn to play the role. I wish it had been your turn to see if you would have liked it. So I'm going to warn you, especially those of you who are here for the first time, you didn't come to just any church. You may be exposed to the biggest change you have ever experienced in your entire life. You can come out of here as a stocking which when it's upside down, they flip it like this. You can get out of here like this, that way, we guarantee it. Your life can enter the best stage you have ever experienced. If you believe. If you don't believe, you're going to come out worse. But if you believe, you're going to get out of here just fine. Well, then it says that faith is manifested, that righteousness. Do you see the word righteousness there? Of the man to whom God imputes righteousness apart from what? This was a plan that God had prepared. Because God gave us this body. The guilty party is God Himself. Who commanded Him to give us a body like the one we have? Tell me something. When you were in the cradle, when you were very small, were you given the choice between being good or bad? You are born damaged. Why are there police in the city? Why are there rules? Because of the wickedness you already have built in. David, do you know what David said? The one who talks about it, the one who prophesied that? David said, in sin my mother conceived me. The child does not become a sinner because he misbehaves before the cross. The child is born in sin from an early age, so you have to be setting rules for him. And who did that? God. Don't you think it's good that He fixed it? Well, He said, I am going to fix the wrong I did to them. I am going to fix it. I'm going to make a plan that if you believe in, without a single work, I will save you completely. 100% saved. So grace is not an undeserved gift. It is well deserved. You deserve it. You deserve it. Blessed. Receive it. Well, then today's topic was the justice and the doctrine of God. There are two things. Let's see in Romans chapter 1, verse 17. For in the Catholic Church, for in the gospel, in the Protestants, the righteousness of God is revealed from faith. For faith, as it is written, the righteous shall live by faith in the gospel. Now, if you go to the church on the corner, they're going to say, well, here, if you don't pay a price, the devil takes you. If you don't pay a price, you are going to hell. Now in the gospel, it says it is by faith. By faith. And why is it by faith? Because God had already decreed it before you were born. Let's look at Romans chapter 9, verse 11, so that you see that you already came with that. What happens is that Adam took it away from mankind, and God gave it back to us when Christ died. Romans 9:11, what does it say? For the children not yet being born, does that mean they existed? For the Spirit existed. They had not had flesh and blood. For the children not yet being born, nor having done any good or evil. That the say purpose. Purpose. Are we all here? Are we listening? That the purpose, whose? According to election, might stand. Not of works, but of him who calls. Hey, the truth is that you are a blessed one because you were called. If you are here this morning, it is because you are a sheep that has been called by our Father, by God. Tell the one next to you, you are holy. You are just like God. Look, if there is a disobedient person of those who do not know faith, he will say, you are not holy because I saw you doing this yesterday. Of the many disobedient ones out there, they say, no, you are not holy. If God comes right now, he will reject you. Oh, so it is by works? It is by works? So, if it is not by works and it is by faith, how is the church? Holy and perfect. Yes or yes? Or is it as they say over there, or is it as we say here? It is as we say here, because here we are based on what is written, on what is written. Galatians chapter 2, verse 21. Galatians, in the 21st verse it says, I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness comes through the law. In other words, if it is as you thought in your church, if it is as they say, Christ would say, I don't know why I died, I would have better escaped. Look, if it aligns with what all the clergy, including priests, Protestant, Baptist, and Methodist pastors are saying, if their words hold true, Christ died in vain. If it is as your grandmother says, Christ died in vain. If it is as you thought 10 minutes ago, Christ died in vain. If you can achieve justice on your own terms, I am clueless regarding the purpose of his death. See? Well, I thought so until I was told what I am today. Until he came to me. I'll know the way of perfection when you come to me. Hey. Hey, blessed. Do you know what it's like to think like we are thinking? You get light. You lose weight. Imagine that. Some people have so many worries that they weigh too much. When they weigh themselves, when they go to the scale, they say, hey, I've gained weight. And they have so many burdens on them. But then they come to church and knock off 20 pounds on one visit to church, just on one visit. Look, I'm losing weight right now. Hey, how good it is to know that our God is happy with you, that he has no problems with you at all.
Everything is okay. Don't worry, be happy.
Look, it's that when they take away from you, as a friend of mine used to say, when that weight is lifted from you, that barrel of nails that you were carrying in here, for then you begin to feel lighter with our God. You become younger. The wrinkles disappear, they are removed. Don't you see that the wrinkles come from guilt and fear? When you know that you are well and that you can be better, all you need is to improve yourself to become better. Oh, Apostle, I think the world is going to explode. The world is not going to explode. So far, nothing has been able to exploit it, right? The world is going to stay as it is, but it is going to get better. Because justice is coming. We are talking about that produces a fruit where we are going to live here on earth with transformed bodies. That is the promise of the law, of the prophets, of the scriptures. If that does not happen, let us drink and eat, that tomorrow we die. There is nothing left. What's more, if that were the case, it would be worth killing a lot of people so that they wouldn't suffer. Our hope, what we are talking about here, is very great. Look at what it says in Philippians chapter 3, verse 9. To then go to discipline. We are talking about the righteousness of God, which is through faith, that you believe and you are made clean, white as snow. White as snow, perfect and spotless. Hey, so much fasting you did before, so much abuse you endured in that pulpit when you went to church on Sunday. And you would walk out of that church trembling. You were lied to and deceived. Look, those are sheep criminals. All those pastors are mind killers. They take those children in Sunday school and they kill them. They destroy them from the time they are little. And they don't tell them the truth. They don't tell those children that they are perfect. They don't tell you that you are perfect, that Christ suffered. All that blood that He shed. If you read a psalm about what He suffered on the cross, look, He felt like some oxen were bearing their horns around here. Well, there's a psalm that talks about what He was going to suffer prophetically. If you saw the movie, He suffered so much that now you are supposed to come to fast to save yourself, to walk on your knees, to be baptized, to eat a little piece of bread and wine. How those Romans fooled you. I don't want to talk about them because they already talk bad. I was already going to enrich my vocabulary. How they lied to you. Oh, Father, let's stop talking about that because lately I feel something. Hey, how much damage does religion do, right? It does tremendous damage. See what it says there. And be found in Him. Not having what? Which is of the law. And which justice do you have to have? But that which is through the faith, the righteousness which is of God, by faith. That is what you need, that justice. If you use your own justice, you will be wrong. It will be insufficient. But if you use the righteousness of God, you are perfect with a single offering. Now, the second thing is those that benefit of this free justice. The prophet Isaiah spoke of it, didn't he? Come to me, drink, eat. Shall we read it? Is Isaiah 55 or is it the 56th? That way. Yes, Isaiah, look it up. 55 verse 1. Isaiah the prophet, so that you may see that this is not a matter of Paul or my inventions. Isaiah, thousands of years before Christ died, he was talking about what I am talking about now. Look. 55. To all who are thirsty, come to the waters, and those who have no money, come buy. For how can you buy without money? Come buy and eat, come buy without money. Do you know what that means? And look, it says, and without price. Notice Isaiah was already talking about this righteousness which you buy for free. You believe it and you say, I believe in Jesus Christ. Say it with me, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe that He died to give me that righteousness. I receive it, I buy it. Without money. Ah, that's right. Hebrews chapter 12. It took me years to know who was within me. Because as I see myself in the flesh, I say, how can I be the man Christ Jesus? How can I be one? But that is what He chooses, the vile of this world. It says that God chose the vile things of the world to embarrass the strong. It is the vile of the world. So God has selected you to bring shame upon others. It takes your inadequacies and turns them into springs. Only if you let yourself, if you believe, and if you are disciplined. Let's go to chapter 12. Starting from verse 6 in the book of Hebrews, I believe. It might be verse 5. Yes, verse 5. Now please pay close attention to me, as there are individuals who appreciate the first part of what I just discussed, but then they fail to congregate. They claim, I'm done. This is wonderful. However, upon encountering them and inquiring why they do not congregate, they respond with, no, forget it. Instead, they request that you pass on their regards to Jose Luis when you next see him. Or they say, send me the CD so I can listen to it here at work, but at work you can't listen to it the same way you listen to it here. I wash dishes and I listen to it. Sometimes you can, but not every time. Not every time. We must be congregated. Not ceasing to congregate, because if you receive righteousness, benefit, and perfection, and do not discipline yourself with the discipline of God, something can happen to you. Look what can happen to you. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaks to you as to sons. My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord, nor be discouraged when you are rebuked by Him. Hey, it's too bad when you get something wrong, and you struggle and it doesn't work out the way you want it to. You struggle, but it doesn't come out the way you expect. And there is teaching. There is teaching. It has happened to me. I have been disciplined by that discipline, and I get upset when things don't go my way. I start saying things. Oh, I don't receive this. But there is the discipline. No matter how much you say, I don't receive it, and angels with you, and angels, well, it doesn't work. Because you are being disciplined in patience. The purpose is to perfect you. Look, they are making you exercise your senses. Your senses are being exercised. It says, for the Lord disciplines the one He loves and chastises every son whom He receives. It is for discipline that you endure. God deals with you as with sons, for what son is there whom his father does not discipline? For if God doesn't discipline you, as He does all of His children, including the man Christ Jesus, the apostle, as He does all of His children, it means that you are illegitimate and are not really His children at all. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us. And what did we do? We gave them reverence. How much do they love their parents here? Hey, look, Dad is going through a slight tribulation. And you say, I have to go visit him, but I can't travel. I have no money. But because you worshiped your dad and he disciplined you, corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? To the Father of spirits. For they, the earthly ones, indeed for a few days chastened us. A few days, and you are about 90 years old. Or in the age range of 1 year to 18 years. Although there are parents who continue to discipline after the age of 18, 20, and 30. As seemed best to them, but he for our profit, that we may be partakers of what? And all discipline indeed for those being present does not seem to be of joy, but of grief. But afterward, what kind of fruit does it bear? Fruit of what? Of what? To those having been trained by it. Hey, peaceable fruit, don't you sometimes find yourself in a situation where your entire family is worried while you remain so calm? And then you are afraid that they will say, hey, he has no more feelings since he has been going to that church. He doesn't seem to feel love. Oh, sometimes something happens to someone and you say, it's good that it happens to them because they will learn from it. While the other family member is crying all the time since he has not been disciplined in that. And they say to you, how can you say that it is good to pass because of that? Because it will work for good. But if he is in jail, well, that's fine. No, he has to be taken out. No, don't take him out of there yet. Leave him a few more days while he learns. It is fitting for him. The young man is pursuing his own interests without appreciating anything around him. So it was beneficial for him that the authorities intervened and revoked his driver's license. Oh, but he is going to run out of license and people will say things. Who cares what they will say? The important thing is that he learns discipline. What does it matter what others say? We all have to learn discipline. We all go through difficult times. Do you feel sorry for that? I don't. I sometimes hear things about a blessed person, and before I react in the flesh, I go to my spirit, and my spirit says to me, calm down. Don't rush. In fact, don't call yet. Wait for him to go through that situation. In other words, that he goes through this test, let him participate in the discipline. What happens is that there are parents who for them everything is crying and feelings. All they think about is picking up the phone to help solve. Calm down. That is why sometimes that peaceful fruit has not been manifested in you. Because even though you say you are in grace and have received His righteousness, you do not want to receive discipline. When discipline comes, you become unsettled. You do not think, you do not reason calmly. Oh, Mom, this is what happened to me. Well, don't worry, but Dad, this happened to me. Here, everyone carries their own burden. You don't have to be carrying everyone else's burdens. Yes, there are parents who want to love more than God. And mothers who desire to show greater love than God. But God is disciplining and you are obstructing. Therefore, God says, let them continue to suffer. But you have to keep up with God's discipline. You have to be a self-controlled person. You have to have your emotions under control. So that God may work in all areas of your life, so that you and your family may bear peaceful fruit. And with that, you don't have to worry about anything. Not about drugs, not about those vices, not about any of that. Let the boy learn, let him receive the discipline and even the scourging of God. Because when he reaches the age of 22, 23, or 24, the boy is already strong, robust, well-disciplined. He gets married and does not give so many problems to the future wife. Well, we have to be disciplined. We have to be disciplined. It is true that sometimes it seems that things are not going well. and does not allow you to say, Abba, Father, but you say, I am troubled. This generates sadness. But then what fruit does it bear? Say, peaceable fruit. Hey, what does peaceable mean? It means peace. That's a haven, a canopy of tranquility. And it makes people say, hey, I don't know how this man or this woman can be this calm with everything that has happened to them. But what happened to him, or rather, what didn't happen to him? But he is so calm. The fact is that he received justice and discipline, and the girl or boy is complete. Nothing affects them. That's right. They are not affected by anything because they exercise their senses. When you exercise your mind, don't you see that this is your temple? The temple, when you clean it well and remove all the dust. Have you seen when you clean a garage and wash it with pressurized water? Or when you clean a car engine, that it is super clean, that all the grease is removed? Or when a housewife cleans the whole house, ends up tired, but then sits down to detail how she cleaned everything? The whole house was clean and perfumed. Well, that is how your mind is. You have to wash your mind. You have to wash your brain to take out all the shrews that you learned in your country, with your grandfather, with your grandmother, and with all the family, because it is not God's discipline. They disciplined you as they saw fit. They disciplined you as they saw fit. And in some cases, they hurt you so much. That's why you are so spoiled and you are so poorly formed. And when you come to the discipline of God, God begins to educate your spirit for what? To harm you? No. As an American friend of mine used to say, sometimes God passes us through troubled waters, not to drown you, but to wash you. And what else does it say? Therefore, strengthen the hands that are weak and the knees that are paralyzed. This is symbolic. Because you can throw your hands up like that and carry on as if nothing happened. Well, to do that is very ignorant on your part, because raising your hands in this case is symbolic. And the knees that are paralyzed, and make straight paths for your feet, so that the limb which is impaired, because you are lame, so that the limb which is impaired may not be dislocated. Me, I should have around 20 crutches, but I'm still standing firm on my own 2 feet. But rather be healed. Follow peace with all men and discipline, without which no man shall see the Lord. Now that verse was better understood. Do you know what those bandits, the children in Christ, our enemies do? They say, without holiness no one will see the Lord. And do you know what they mean by that? If you do not remove your earrings, you will not see the Lord. If you wear pants, you will not see the Lord. If women get too pretty, they won't see the Lord. You know that for all those legalists, holiness is the external, the clothes. Here it is not talking about anything external. There is talking about discipline. Without the discipline, without the formation that the Lord gives to your spirit, you are not going to see Him, even if you are saved. There will be many people who are saved but will not be transformed in this first round. At this stage, only those who have renewed their minds are the ones who will be transformed. How is God going to transform a man? That is, transform him so that he can then say, hallelujah, but where were you to talk like that? Apostle, God bless you. Imagine that. You have to renew your mind. Discipline is needed. Justice, what is the name of the conference? The justice and the doctrine of God. Both go hand in hand. That's like a small boat with two oars, one here and one there. And we go forward. Now, if that boat only has one oar, what happens? Righteousness by faith. Discipline by knowledge. And then those two walking will lead you to a peaceable fruit, a peaceful fruit. Look, you can have money, but if you don't have this, you are unhappy even if you have all the money. I went to visit a cousin of mine in a prison over there in New York, and that boy had so much money. He cried and told me, look, I have enough money to buy 40 televisions. I could buy 10 Mercedes-Benz if I wanted to, but look where I am. He would tell me crying. And what do you do with 10 Mercedes-Benz, or with 20 houses, or with millions? Stored in the bank without this discipline, it consumes you. You will not be happy. Now, do you know what it means to be justified with the righteousness of God? Well built. And with money too, because money is necessary. You know what it's like to be comfortable in your home, knowing good and evil, congregating peacefully, thinking as God thinks. Then you are happy. Happiness comes to you, and you wait for the transformation, because the reward, hey, is coming. Those of us who think this way, one day, our very flesh will not support so much information, and our bodies will be transformed. In order to obtain it, you must gather at the International Ministry Growing in Grace. This is the sole location where you can acquire this medicine. Now, if you want to suffer a little more, that is, if you don't want to stop suffering, you can go to any church, as every road will eventually lead you to the same destination. Arrive at the same place, to sadness. Now, if you want to stop suffering, get into the grace of the 14 epistles of the Apostle Paul according to the interpretation of the man Christ Jesus. Let's stand. I want you to greet the one who is next to you and tell him, I have received the discipline of God.